Howdy, folks. This is Paresh, and I hope that everyone has been keeping well. Over the past couple of months, I've been on a fair amount of interviews, panels, and podcasts, and generally they have turned out to be fairly lengthy. So, what I've decided to do is to host a breakdown series where I cover a series of topics such as fintech, blockchain, central bank digital currencies, digital assets, and a whole lot more. If you haven't caught any one of the episodes, feel free to catch it on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, or you can always visit me at pareshdaya.com. So for this week, we're going to be talking a little bit about fintech. Now, everyone knows what the word means, but it really is associated to startups and entrepreneurship. But really, it means financial technology, and it could mean any sort of technology that's applied within the financial context. I used to spend quite a bit of time working for tier one investment banks in London, and we used to use technology to implement various different mechanisms within the financial sector and the financial domain itself. But today, this word of fintech is really synonymous and represents customer-centric solutions, showing empathy for the problems faced, and utilizing cutting-edge technology to actually solve these particular problems. Now, of course, there are nuances across various different geographic locations to problems faced, and especially in the context of emerging economies such as Africa, Southeast Asia, South America, and so on and so forth. Globally, there are about 1.5 billion people that are currently unbanked or underbanked. So we need to develop fintech solutions for that particular segment, and also for people that are currently locked into and frustrated with the current financial system. So why would businesses actually focus on fintech? Well, three reasons mainly. Number one is access. We want to be able to democratize access to the financial system, financial tools, solutions, and instruments. Two is around lowering costs. We want to be able to lower and disintermediate the various different intermediaries that are taking cuts within the value chain of the financial system. And three is around unlocking value. We want to be able to use fintech and new disruptive, innovative business models to be able to unlock economic value, particularly within emerging economies that suffer with unstable political and economic facets within their particular geographic location. Now, let's dive into this a little bit deeper and what actually constitutes fintech itself. When I talk to many people, they tend to use the word fintech as a very loaded and umbrella term. So what I've done for you folks today is I've basically broken this down into various different fintech verticals and constituents. And what we're going to do is I'm going to basically use red, green, and orange and amber to basically highlight where we're seeing the most amount of traction and the least amount of traction that could basically identify opportunities within these particular verticals. So I'll start off with the payment space. I'll basically highlight this in red because we're seeing quite a competitive environment within the payment space. This is both on domestic payments and international and cross-border remittances itself. Moving into some of the spaces that we see moderate development, we can have a look at the lending and borrowing space, and especially so because there's been quite a big decentralized finance movement, or DeFi, on the blockchain that looks at, from the borrowing perspective, how do we provide credit and access to finance? Together, on the lending side, how do we provide finance using risk management strategies to basically manage the entire borrowing and lending space itself? Also, what we're seeing is quite a few solutions being built within the regulatory and compliance space, and this is RegTech. So within the KYC, know your customer, AML, anti-money laundering, CFT, counter-financing of terrorism funds, we're starting to see a lot of automation and digitization around policies and procedures and reporting itself. What I'm going to do now for you folks is I'm going to highlight in green. So particularly within the savings and trading space, I think that there's a lot of innovation to actually happen within this fintech domain. On this space, we can talk about both institutional trading investing and also crowd investment or crowdsourcing itself. We can have a look at whether we can incorporate digital assets for fractional ownership of investing, and also potentially build in robo-advisory into the wealth management, asset management, and portfolio management space. When I talk about investment and trading, we also want to have a look at how do we digitize the entire value chain potentially even using digital assets all the way from issuance to exchange, clearing, settlement, and custody itself. We're also seeing the actual savings space, a lot of fintech innovation around that, particularly around managing funds, budgeting, savings goals, and aggregation. Within insurance, I refer to both long-term and short-term insurance, and again, digitization of underwriting processes, claims processes, agents, and how those various different intermediaries fit in, and potentially also having a look at providing real-time insurance and real-time premium fees. Also within the earning space, we're having a look at a new world and a new future of work where we actually want to tackle income generation, various different revenue streams, the gig economy, incentivized mechanism, and freelancing. So hopefully that gives you folks some idea of where we are within the various different fintech verticals. And last but not least, we can have a look at B2B or business to business providers, which basically form the underlying foundation and provide innovation services. Now, by this, I mean software development providers, incubators, accelerators, infrastructure providers itself. As a company, as Fraxium, we fall slap bang within the B2B provider fintech vertical, and we provide the various different mechanisms and building blocks for innovators to build disruptive, innovative solutions within these verticals. And we provide an innovation launchpad platform for innovators to get up and running very quickly. And at the heart of everything is what we call digital assets. So hopefully that gives you folks some idea of where we're seeing a lot of traction. Let's get rid of that. Quite a bit of traction within these verticals. I'm very keen to talk to any innovators who are looking to tackle some of these verticals itself. We are quite deep within this particular space, and my passion is around fintech. So that's all for this episode, folks. Feel free to comment down below, and I will definitely see you on the next episode. Ciao.